Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, How to Design High Converting Landing Pages. My name is Jill, and I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Vertical Response. And today we have a special guest to present our webinar. Joining us today from Lander is Eric Pfiefer. He is the account manager there, and he's going to take us through how to create landing pages that are going to work well for your business. Thanks for joining us today, Eric.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
Eric is actually joining us from Argentina, so that's kind of fun. I'm in San Francisco. He's in Argentina. Just a couple things before I hand this over to Eric. First of all, the webinar will be about 35 minutes. At the end, there will be plenty of time for Q&A, so please feel free to ask questions. All you need to do is type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be happy to answer those at the end of the webinar. One of the questions we get all the time is this being recorded? And the answer is yes. We will have the recorded version up on our help site later today. Hopefully, I have a couple meetings, but hopefully I should get it up there later today. If you want to take a look and maybe refresh your memory on some of the things that Eric is going to talk about today. So with that, I am going to hand the presentation over to Eric.
And we'll go ahead and get started. How to design high converting landing pages. It's got 35 minutes here, so we're going to roll right into everything. It's going to discuss here real quickly the overview about the different aspects that go into putting together a high converting landing pages. So some very basic fundamentals, but very important fundamentals that oftentimes folks unfortunately do have a tendency to overlook or maybe take for granted. So just follow along here. And basically in the overview, what I'm going to discuss, we're going to talk about headlines, what they're for, how to write one, get into that a little bit, calls to actions, why they're important, and how they work on your landing page. Also going to discuss, there's always a lot of questions about forms with landing pages, especially with regards to a long form or a short form, and different tips regarding that. How to properly run A/B tests for conversion optimization, and also how to create the perfect landing page for your email marketing campaign. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be interested in hearing about that, so I've got a few tips on that. Okay, as I did mention, there are many different factors that can influence landing page conversion rate optimization. While there are best practices for the basic elements, like I just mentioned, calls to action, layouts, different colors, and different things. These things are going to vary depending on your industry type and also the individual goals of the page. As we know, a lot of websites already do have landing pages. However, it does take some thought and careful planning to create a memorable one that works, especially one that has a lot of focus associated with. That's the main thing with landing page. It creates a focused, guided experience for your visitors. And also, what we're going to talk about a little bit later is when it comes to knowing what works and what doesn't, and in a way getting your visitors to tell you is through A/B testing. And of course, understanding A/B testing, it's going to be absolutely crucial for determining exactly how you should optimize your landing page. We could really have a whole webinar discussing just A/B testing. However, we're going to touch on it a little bit later, but it is very important. Main thing to remember is that relying on your own personal thoughts or intuition or guesswork doesn't cut it when it comes to putting together a landing page or improving a landing page. Highly converting landing pages need to appeal to a target audience, and it's going to be A/B testing and proper planning that's going to get you there. So, how to write catchy headlines. This is going to be the first element that your visitors are going to see on your landing page. So let's say you've worked really hard and you've built an impressive online marketing system, let's say. You're using social media, you got email marketing going on, you guys are using vertical response, you're using SEO, you got organic SEO plugged into everything, driving traffic to your website, you got your brand awareness up, people know about you, you're doing a good job by keeping in touch with everyone. Obviously, repeat customers, repeat sales, we're interested in that. You're using solid sales content, your marketing, your copywriting techniques, everything is working, right? So you've done all that, but there's one important step that a lot of folks miss. And I always like to say, if you don't have a headline, you don't have a landing page, okay? So if you want to enjoy the highest conversion rate possible without this, a lot of the traffic that you've worked so hard to attract They're going to hit your landing page and more than likely abandon it immediately. So without this, you can enjoy a lot of success up to this point and then lose out on the rest. A solid headline is an absolute must. It needs to grab and focus the reader's attention, okay? It's going to kind of set the stage and kind of like the emotional tone for the offer and the rest of the content on the landing page. I like to kind of say that the headline is the door opener of the landing page. It needs to, and one of the biggest challenges with a headline is one phrase, and it not only needs to encapsulate your unique value disposition, but also a benefit of some kind. That's the challenge. They need to see the value of your offer and the benefit. And condensing this into one phrase or one simple sentence is a challenge. So don't just throw up anything for a headline. Research a headline. Use certain keywords maybe that your target audience is going to be using when they search, or that you would plug into your solution and plug that into your headlines when you consider creating a headline, all right? So as I mentioned, without it, even the most persuasive messages aren't going to get read. In other words, you don't have a headline. What's going to guarantee that they're going to continue reading the rest of the content of your landing page? Okay, so let's learn from the best ones. Let's consider what John Caples had to say. He was a legendary copywriter and advertising executive who lived earlier in the last century. And he was committed to extensively testing copywriting and marketing results. It's kind of like one of the founding fathers of sales copywriting. I think he was a good old Southern boy too, because he had this, and I quote, "If you have a good line, you have a good ad, but if you have a poor headline, you are licked before you start." So kind of humorous there a little bit. You can tell he's from the olden days. But he retired in 1982 at the ripe old age of 82. And like I said, some years ago, but that advice, that quote right there, is still very valid and used today. Attention-grabbing headlines are arguably even more important now, considering, especially that we're entering the mobile universe now. Internet is now everything, smartphones and tablets. We're all in a big hurry. Social media, we're bombarded. Everything's coming at us at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So have all this in mind with your headline. Remember, value and benefit. That's what your headline, as soon as they hit the landing page, that's exactly what they should see. And it's another reason is because the landing page has to follow what we call the 5-second rule. Basically, in 5 seconds or less, they need to land on the landing page, know what the offer is, and how to get it. And the headline is going to go a long way towards helping you to get that done. Okay, jazz up your landing page headlines. Let's take a look at how to write a good headline for a landing page. First, when you're reviewing your landing page headlines, you need to put yourself in your reader's shoes, try to think like your reader. And that, honestly, it's actually good practice for all of the content, but especially with the headline. If they've landed on your landing page, it's possible they clicked through. Well, obviously they did click through from somewhere else, perhaps from one of your emails. Like if you guys have sent out an email campaign with a response, maybe embedded a call to action button in the email. They clicked on it, they landed on the landing page. Maybe a PPC ad or your homepage, whatever. Chances are they're probably a little bit qualified. They've been warmed up a little bit. They've taken the time to click the link. You've built some sales momentum. That's what we're talking about here. You're on the right track, but the work isn't over yet. Your reader clicked through, and they're probably quite interested, but also probably a little apprehensive, where the trust factor comes in. They most likely they might have a sneaking suspicion that you're about ready to try and sell them on something, right? So what I'm getting at is the landing page is going to either keep the momentum going or it's going to put it out real quick. And one of the things you can do to keep that momentum going, is to add a really good catchy headline there at the top of the landing page. A ride on the slippery slope. See this cool little graphic here. This is what in the copywriting world we call a slippery slope. What are we getting at? Well, we want the reader to start at the top of the sales content, in other words, your headline, and read and then digest it down the page effortlessly and enthusiastically until they reach the bottom and hopefully gladly accept whatever call to action is that you want them to take. So discussing all of the steps involved in that beyond it is going to be a little too much. But getting back to what we're discussing, it's one of the first steps, of course, is composing a great headline. And we're going to get into how to compose it. Powerful headline formula. You see two things there: curiosity plus benefit plus instant gratification. This is a strong formula for an eye-catching, memorable, and persuasive headline. It needs to combine all of these aspects into one. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. Your value disposition, your unique value proposition, not disposition, proposition, and a benefit. Of course, all that includes curiosity and instant gratification. One catchphrase, one sentence at the top has to do all that. So, if they're curious, they're naturally going to want to find out more, and they're going to be provoked into continuing to read down the page, right? They'll like it when you tell them how you can benefit and how you can help them resolve a particular issue or pain point, as we call it. You always want to focus on pain points of your landing page. And when you promise them something now, instant gratification, they're going to find it almost irresistible. So the first step in doing all of that is putting together a headline that has all three of these elements. Okay, getting people to say yes, getting back to sales momentum. Remember earlier I mentioned that, talked about sales momentum. Don't forget, it's really important that you build this early on in your online marketing approach and keep it not just going, but steadily increasing as well. So one of the best ways to do this is to ask a series of questions naturally leading to a sale. A series of questions to which the only logical answer is yes, right? That's actually, I don't want to go yet. So what I'm getting at is, why not try out and test some headlines that ask a question directly? I in particular, I like question headlines that ask a question, that provoke a thought, kind of gets their attention. So why not a headline like that? Why not asking a question directly related to the reader buying the product? Questions for obviously the only answer is yes, right? And what am I alluding to here? What I'm getting to here is the emotional aspect of an effective landing page headline and of marketing in general. People always remember this, they always make buying decisions based on emotional factors. And depending on the buyer persona, those emotional factors are going to be distinct for each one. I won't talk about buyer personas too much, but it is an important aspect. So the things your target audience gets emotional about, remember that. The things that they get emotional about are the things that you need to grab their attention with on not just the headline, but every aspect of your sales copy, okay? So use the headline to leverage the power of their emotions. Okay, now we're going to move on from headlines. We've discussed that at the top of the page, the first copy they should see. Now we're going to get into, if not equally as important, the next most important aspect of the landing page, call to action. And I'm going to give you 8 tips for calls to actions that really work, okay? In the business dictionary, a call to action is defined as a phrase or series of words or small series of words that urge the reader, the listener, or viewer of a sales promotion message, like on a landing page, to take an immediate desired action. For example, click here, right now, call now. Retail and online advertisements will use these as well, but also especially with landing pages. An effective call to action is absolutely essential. Absolutely essential for driving your brand awareness and all of your lead generation efforts and sales. And unfortunately, they're often overlooked. So we'll talk about the first point here. The first tip, don't leave any room for ambiguity. The most effective calls to action are usually very direct and clear as day. Blog readers should know exactly what you expect them to do next when they see that call to action. The wording needs to, and we'll talk about a call to action probably on a button. Let's say on a button, maybe on the form, or maybe a standalone button. The wording on that button, the call to action, it should create a sense of urgency, and it needs to provoke or entice them into taking the desired action. But don't overdo it. Don't make it sound too pitchy or too salesy. We'll get into that in a minute. Often 3 to 5 words is enough. Okay? Number 2, be as non-intrusive as possible. Okay, even though it might seem a bit counterintuitive based on the first point I made, your call to action should never take anything away from a visitor's experience. Don't add to it. Although it's important to be as specific as possible so readers know exactly what action to take next, don't interrupt the experience for any reason unnecessarily. In other words, create a distraction of some kind. As long as readers can clearly identify the next step to guide them along to that desired action, then conversion will be more natural, will be more intuitively possible. Okay, so just don't create any unnecessary distractions. Is what that's meaning. Okay, number 3, keep your target audience in mind always. Super important. Your call to action needs to to appeal specifically to your target customer to be effective. So understand them. Do the research on your customers. They're worth it. It's worth your time to understand who they are, what motivates them, what their needs are, what search terms they use. And a good way to accomplish this is to place the CTA near content on your landing page that details certain benefits of your product, specifically target only your target audience. Not only maybe 2 or 3 bullet points with benefits, down under a video or maybe up under an image of your product, and then maybe like a little directional arrow that points to the button with the call to action or to the form, the call to action. And you can also apply this to your email campaigns that you use a vertical response to and create your emails. So it's the same process. Okay, number 4, stick to one CTA through the process. Really important. Some marketing experts suggest that using multiple CTAs or call to actions can increase the chances that people will convert. However, I don't recommend that. If you're an experienced marketer, you can get away with it. If you guys are new to landing page or if you're new to inbound marketing or online marketing, just stick with one good, juicy call to action and use it everywhere on the landing page. And then I put in my notes here, some marketers would disagree, but I feel you should really stick to one CTA. One CTA should be enough. And I also put here in my notes the paradox of choice. You'll hear online marketers say this. The paradox of choice basically states too many choices usually leaves them with no choice but to just not choose, period. So, don't try to give them too many actions on the page. Don't try to put too many irons in the fire on one landing page. One call to action is enough. And just repeat the call to action. Maybe if it's a long landing page, rather than using 2 different call to actions, maybe one in a button at the top and then your form at the bottom, just repeat the same call to action. Okay. Always place the CTA above the fold, kind of what I was just alluding to. Remember, quick point, really important. Online readers, they don't read, they scan. They don't read, they scan. So keep content down to a minimum. But make sure the content, remember, is not ambiguous. Make sure it's direct. Remember that they have a limited attention span. So putting the CTA above the fold is really important. What do we mean by the fold? Well, the fold is the area of your landing page, the bottom border, where to see further down the landing page, you have to scroll. So naturally, if the form is going to be below that fold with the call to action, don't you want to place the same call to action somewhere above the fold? What we're getting at here is wherever the line of sight is on the landing page of the viewer, that call to action should always be somewhere in front of them. So if it's a short form landing page, obviously it's going to be above the fold. But if it's a long-term landing page and you have your form or call to action below the fold, just make sure you repeat it somewhere above the fold. Okay, it's really important. Especially if you're using long landing pages, you're going to want to put the call to action in more than just one place. You might have a section of reading, call to action. Another section of reading, again, there's the call to action, and then maybe the form. You'll see that with Lander templates. We'll have a long template form at the bottom, and then you'll see in the template that we've added buttons at different lengths that you can click on in case they get tired of reading, because many of them will. Don't take for granted that they're going to read everything, all the content on your landing page. Okay? All right, avoid sounding too promotional. This is a trap that I fall into sometimes. It's easy to do. The best CTAs are brief and to the point, so don't use your words to deliver a mini sales pitch. As businesses have in recent times become more customer-centric, prospects are less tolerant of overly promotional content that constantly bombards them with pitchy-sounding sales pitches. They just get sick of it. It's a big turnoff. So any call to action on your landing page should always convey and provide your visitors value. Focus on value. That's what's going to increase the chances that the readers will convert. Always focus on value, even value over price when it comes to selling things on your landing pages. Okay, give users an incentive. This is another good one. This is tip number 7. This is a particularly effective CTA for a blog. If visitors just read an article, the call to action can link them to a download for another in-depth piece of content on maybe the same topic. They already read the initial topic. Now they're interested. I want to learn more about this. A nice CTA with a link to a download works really well. And this can benefit you because you can ask for an email address, for example, and some demographic info as well from your visitor. In other words, we're talking a form here. So whether it's a white paper, ebook, a free product trial, maybe a voucher, or coupon or something, extending a gift to your website visitors is a great way um, to generate more leads. Okay, make it visual. Point number 8. One of the best ways to ensure readers see your CTA is to incorporate visual elements. What am I talking about? Buttons or graphics. I've already been mentioning that. In bringing together some of the previous points I mentioned earlier, as far as buttons and graphics, placing your CTA kind of towards the side of the page as main content so it's visible above the fold and doesn't detract from the reader's experience is great. And then you can, and what I'm getting at by making it visual here is I'm talking about using visual details that make it more eye-catching without being disruptive. That's what's important. One way to do that is you can put the call to action and a button off to the right, and then remember I mentioned having a graphic of like a directional arrow that's pointing towards the call to action. Or another way to do that is maybe an image of the boss or maybe an image of you with a gesture of the hands pointing towards the call to action. I've seen some really good landing pages that have the call to action right over to the left. There's just like a cropped image of like maybe the creator of the product or maybe the guy and the gentleman in the product video is discussing the product, and he's pointing at the call to action button right next to him. So make it visual. Guide their eyesight towards the best content and the call to action. Okay, what's in a high quality landing page form? So we've been talking about forms a little bit. We'll get into that. Okay, so we've talked about headlines. We've got that. We've talked about call to actions. Now it's time to create and optimize another basic element of a high converting landing page, especially if your goal is directly related to lead generation. And what I'm talking about is forms. Without good forms, it can be difficult to capture contact information you can use at a later time. And if you want to optimize conversion rates on your pages, lead generation forms are going to be the key area of focus. So whether you're an e-commerce retailer or a B2B company, forms are designed to help you obviously attract new customers, which means it's important to understand and consider the needs of those target audience before you create your form. Marketers need to capture their visitors' information and turn them into leads and be able to build relationships with them later on and continue to build those relationships. However, if you just put the form out there any old way without bringing conversion in mind, you can make some mistakes. So there's some basics when it comes into setting up a form. Number 1, don't overdo it, okay? It's probably no surprise that folks surfing the internet have less patience and time than ever before. And this certainly rings true when it comes to filling out lengthy forms. If you require too many fields or too many questions up front, potential customers are more likely to abandon the page rather than complete the process. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges for many of you with your forms. Finding the right balance between what you need initially at this step and what your customers are going to be willing to give to you with regards to information. So take that into account. If you're not really experienced with landing pages, I would encourage you to start out with a shorter form. Name, email, telephone number. That's about it. If you're more experienced, you understand maybe your target audience a little bit better, you can get by with maybe a longer form. So bear that in mind. Keep it simple in the beginning, and as you get better, then you can experiment with longer forms with more questions. Okay, here's the second point. Experiment with different form styles and designs. Look, if your forms aren't delivering the number of conversions you want, it may be worthwhile to try something new, right? As we just mentioned. So whether it's possibly the size of the button or the text labels in the form, maybe the number of fields, we discussed that. There's a lot of different possibilities for landing page forms that work, such as a 2-page form or even a 2-column field layout. However, it's nearly impossible to determine what aspects are going to increase those conversion rates without A/B testing your forms first. We're going to get into that just a little bit. But don't rely on intuition or your gut instinct when it comes to looking at your form and optimizing it. A/B test first, okay? Even the most simplest changes can have the hugest impact on your conversions. Okay, use action-oriented words. Submit is kind of a boring word, right? It's ambiguous, it's not very enticing, it's just sort of there, right? It's not a good call to action. Well, truth be told, there's also a good chance that your prospects probably think so as well. Short, specific call to actions and phrases that communicate a benefit will ensure folks will stick around longer or convert. For example, you can replace submit with access the free trial now or download your white paper. Remember, you're telling them what action you want them to take. Make it compelling, make it direct, make it decisive. Use action-oriented words, okay? All right. Now, we've discussed headlines, we've discussed call to actions, some basic building blocks. Now we're going to talk about A/B tests. We could really spend a lot of time on this, but I'm going to move kind of quickly here. How to properly run A/B tests for conversion optimization. Landing pages are an exciting opportunity, but they can be worrisome, especially for folks that are new to them. Once a new page has been created, it's not enough to just put the page out there and then just walk away from it. You need to extensively test it before you can really maximize the value of the landing page as far as lead generation. And split testing allows you to do this. It allows you a way to optimize your landing pages for conversions without relying on guesswork or your gut instinct or anything like that. You've heard me mention that a few times. Those are really bad words when it comes to landing pages, okay? And A/B testing is so important because really your visitors are giving you a gift. The gift that they're giving you is that they're telling you what they like and also what they don't like about your landing page and your marketing efforts. So let's take a look at some quick tips, okay? Number one, test what matters most. Testing can take a lot of time, and it's especially true when you focus on every single metric. I'm talking about measuring the data instead of just the most important ones. In an email marketing, companies typically focus on opens and clicks, but it doesn't really have as much of a bearing on the end goal as one might think. Ultimately, you want the email recipients to convert, right? It's the same with your website. So you need to focus on the objective of each landing page and design more relevant tests. So test what elements matter most, okay? And test over time. And this is going to get into an area where I do see folks make a lot of mistakes. One of the biggest issues that I see is that they have a tendency to only test for a brief amount of time, or they don't allow the test to run long enough. It's more beneficial to test over time because it's going to provide better insights. And this is going to be especially true for business-to-business marketing efforts because leads will be at a different stage of the sales cycle, for example. So, don't have the misconception that A/B testing is going to produce immediate results. You need to be in it for the long run with testing with your landing pages, okay? And some landing page tests need to go longer than others, okay? Consider data science. In many cases, the results of A/B tests are wrong, which is why marketers may make changes that aren't effective. There's a group called eConsultancy, and they stated the reason for this is because the results are often random, and there are often slight variations each time the test is run. So while this may seem like a case against A/B testing, applying some concepts of data science can actually help you see better results. Using statistics in your tests can help you get more accurate results. You could enter specific data points into an A/B calculator, for example, and it can also tell you how many tests you need to run. So the conversion percentage is always a good place to start, even if it's only an estimate. However, the lower your conversion rate is, obviously, the more tests you're going to need to conduct, right? So, and finally, be patient. This gets back into running your tests long enough. As tempting as it might be to just bang out a few tests and then come to a conclusion about a landing page, you can't run through A/B testing, especially if it's a really significant investment. A lot of landing pages, a lot of campaigns. It's crucial to stick to the same A and B variables in the test without making major changes, or it may impact and kind of fudge the results a little bit. So to get statistically accurate results, you need to let the test run long enough to where you get a large enough sample size of visitors to be able to compare the conversion rates between the two A/B variants or A/B versions of your landing page to kind of come to a good conclusion about how that landing page is going to perform, okay? Okay, and number 5, know your audience. Testing on the front end obviously can improve results, but to make the most of A/B testing, you need to have a firm understanding of what you're testing and who you're testing before you get started. So you need to know your target audience, okay? The audience that you're targeting with your particular solution and offer. For example, what devices does the majority of your audience own? What are some demographics about your audience? Be sure to consider different combinations of browsers and even operating systems across similar devices as well. We're talking a little bit more about A/B testing from a mobile perspective there. How tech savvy are they, for example? target audience? Do you know how tech savvy they are? Do you know the statistics with regards to mobile search? Are you plugging that into the mobile versions of your landing pages? You can guess this based on demographics, devices, and what your website promotes. For example, if you cater to an older audience, it may be beneficial to focus on the navigation elements of the page. Knowing that your older audience's preferences and needs can help you create a more effective website experience based on that. Okay? And finally, be as specific as possible. When bugs inevitably occur during tests, you need to be as specific as possible to describe the problem. Multiple glitches should each get their own report rather than being combined and dumped into just one. You need to detail each step you took that led to the problem. Okay? It may help to consider what result you wanted when the problem occurred. And specific information can help folks on your IT team and your developers make quick fixes. Okay? And have a vision. Number 7. It's easy to stray from what you wanted the website to or the landing page to look like when testing reveals that your design hasn't been effective, right? However, having a planned layout and guidelines for acceptable changes before you start testing is going to ensure that things stay on track. In addition, having a visual representation can also help you stay consistent between different browsers and devices. Once again, kind of plugging that in more to mobile. Okay, finally, before we close out, a lot of you guys are using vertical response. We want to discuss about email and how to create the perfect landing page for your email marketing campaign, okay? And as you guys probably already know, email is the best #1 way to establish a continuing commercial flowing relationship with your customers. It's not your social media. It's not your blogs. It's always going to be email. With email, what you're actually doing is you're kind of prepping your customers to expect offers because they're in your list, right? You're kind of prepping them to expect new offers while simultaneously, or at least this is what you should be doing, while simultaneously teaching them about the value of the solutions you offer day in and day out. So if you think about the sales cycle as getting your customers to know more about you, like you, and also trust you, then email is really going to be big on the trust factor, okay? Without a doubt. But how do you get people to buy from you after you've kind of primed the pump a little bit, as we like to say? By linking them from the email to a targeted landing page. That's what we provide here with Lander. Landing page is the best way to close the deal. Okay? One of the reasons is because of focus. You've heard me mention focus. Sending out your email campaigns with a link to a landing page is going to create a more focused, more simplified experience that's going to guarantee a higher probability of conversion. So let's say you've established a regular flow of emails with your prospects, and let's say that they're probably used to getting valuable non-commercial content from you, as well as some sales-oriented content. I want you to keep this in mind. Generally, the rule of thumb between non-commercial content and sales-oriented content in your emails should be about a 3-to-1 ratio. In other words, a 3-to-1 ratio of non-commercial to sales-oriented content. But the sales-oriented content should be educational as well in the emails you send. But its main purpose is to sell your offer. So apply all of your best sales letter copywriting on your commercial emails, and always sell on the benefits, not the features. Don't talk about you and the features. Talk about the benefits and whatever it is that you're offering can help them. That's really important. Answer all of their objections and provide testimonials. It's another way to do it. So continuing on with the know, like, and trust concept, let's say we've done all that. We now need to add a buy. Okay? The landing page enables you to translate that trust into buy. Okay? So create a landing page specific to your email marketing campaign. So as we've discussed before, you need to create a different landing page for each specific campaign, buyer, persona, or product you sell. It needs to be segmented like that. I think I mentioned that earlier. If I didn't, I apologize. Each landing page has a specific purpose. Landing pages for your email marketing campaigns are going to be primarily for sales. Okay? That's going to be the aspect. Primarily for selling your customers on a specific product or service. So to help you put together a successful page, I'm going to give you a few tips here real quick. Hopefully we've got enough time. I don't see the clock. The headline of your landing page must match the headline of your offer in the email. This is super, 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 super important. I get asked this question a lot. it makes sense. Whatever you're promising on the email needs to be promised on the landing page. So if you have, if I've got written here in my notes, if you're selling an online course on how to train your dog in 3 weeks, and you've done a great job of selling the value of that course in your email, then you need to have a landing page that needs to have the same headline, and that's true. Just make sure that whatever you're promising from the email and the headline into the landing page, that matches right up, okay? Have a well-designed landing page. You don't need to be a graphic design expert to design a well-designed landing page. Just keep it simple. Don't make it cluttered. I wouldn't recommend using pop-ups or any type of crazy. Okay, I thought we had lost the connection there, folks. I'm sorry. Yeah, just keep it simple. You don't need to be a graphic design expert, or you don't have any type of coding knowledge really to design a well-designed landing page. Just make it concise, simple, uncluttered. Use white space to your advantage, and keep it simple, okay? Okay, present the yes factor. Sean D'Souza of Psychotactics talks about something he calls the yes factor, and this is basically providing your customer with two purchasing options. Basically, your regular product at the standard price and a second choice with an added bonus for a slightly higher price. This is a really, really good idea. He says that this way your customers are more likely to buy your product. Why? Well, when you introduce an additional option, such as your product with a bonus, your customers will get excited because they're going to want the bundled option for the slightly higher price. This goes back into selling on value as opposed to price, okay? And of course, that's going to be important. So, adding additional trust factors. And we're really harping on this because that's what's really important. And there's another expert that I really enjoy listening to a lot. His name is Brian Eisenberg, and he understands the need for trust. He introduced a term that he coined point of action assurances. Little trust icons that can boost conversion rates. These are the assurances that give your customers peace of mind. They can be logos from security companies or the image of a little lock that tells them that, hey, your credit card information is going to be secure if you make this purchase. These are really important. These little trust symbols, okay, they need to be above the fold always in the line of sight as soon as they land on the landing page. Could be logos of trusted brands that you've done business with that people are very familiar with, okay? So, really important. The risk reversal. If you've done a great job in your sales-oriented email, your customers are already aware of the benefits of buying from you. They've read the bullets, they know what they're going to get, and you've answered their objections. But truth be told, your visitors are always going to be a little bit apprehensive. They're always going to be afraid that they're going to make a mistake or that something's going to go wrong or that maybe there's some unnecessary risk that's involved. The way you can reduce these risks is presenting them with a risk reversal. Jay Abram, he talks about this. He's another expert. He says when you take away the risk factor, sales go through the roof. Just remember that. Something like full refund, no questions asked, or even more powerfully, for example, like full refund plus 10% for your trouble. So you get the idea here, right? Simple risk reversals go a long way. Okay? And it looks like we're pretty much done here. Jill, are you there?
I am here. Yes.
Did I end a little bit too soon?
No, it's perfectly fine. We do have time for questions, as you can see on the screen. Before we get to any questions, I'm sorry, what was that?
No, sure, that's great. Yeah, if anybody has any questions,
yeah. What I found really interesting in the webinar is that, and I think this will be really helpful for a lot of our customers, is that creating a landing page is a lot like creating an email, and the effort that you put into your email can be the similar type of effort that you would put into a landing page. So, for example, the thing that you said at the beginning about headlines being crucial for your landing page success is also crucial for your email. Your subject line is like a headline, and it needs to be a strong one, otherwise you're not going to get people to open your email, and it's the same with your landing page. If you don't have a strong headline, you're going to lose people. And also, you talked about call to action, and again, when it comes to email marketing, call to actions are also really important, and they need to be simple, and you don't want to have a lot of them. So just like creating your email, creating a landing page is a similar action, and I think that a lot of our customers could certainly benefit from using a landing page, but knowing that it's just as easy as creating an email might make it a lot more understandable for our customers and more likely for you guys to be doing that.
Yeah, really. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I look at creating an email basically as like a little mini landing page, especially with the call to action and the headline. Those two need to match up exactly, because what happens is if you have a great headline added in the email and a call to action and it's working and the prospect clicks on for example, a typical mistake, they'll click on the button, and instead of it taking them to a landing page that has the same headline and call to action, basically confirming what's being promised, it goes to their product page. And they have to, for example, maybe search through the product pages and that. It's really important to send them, from the email, which has a focused experience, similarly to a landing page that's also another focused experience. And it's what we call we call it message matchup. This is really important, in that whatever is being promised in the email, from the call to action to the headline on down, match it up exactly on the landing page. So that way it kind of confirms to them, and it also helps from a trust factor that, hey, I'm still being promised what they promised me in the email, everything's lining up. It's more intuitive. They don't have to think about it so much. And yeah, totally. I mean, I would look at creating, an email or a landing page exactly. There's really virtually no difference. I mean, all the same aspects apply in creating a catchy landing page in a campaign that's being sent, matching it up, or having the landing page virtually match up to it. So yeah. Totally, I totally agree with you.
I also wanted to mention for the people on the webinar that we do have integrations with Vertical Response, and Lander is one of the integrations that we have. Mm-hmm. So if you go to verticalresponse.com/integrations, you'll see Lander right there. They're right near the top, and they integrate with your Vertical Response account.
Listeners, we do have a special discount. Let me put it up here. You guys can see it there. 15% off for 3 months, any subscription. All they have to do is copy and paste with, Vertical Response, capital V, capital R there. If they test this for 30 days, they'd like to buy, just use that, feel free to use that promo code. So